Good evening and welcome to another exciting episode of the Men's Lounge. We are here today, Monday, the 12th of September. I'm sure dates like this remind a lot of us of so many things. I won't tell you about mine. What can I say? It's been a great weekend for a lot of us. I enjoyed my weekend. I had some very good rest, and I'm here today. And of course, as usual, and as always, I am very glad to be here. And I'm sure you're also very happy to see us bring you another exciting discussion that we're bringing your way very soon. Well, so from now, all you need to do is feel free to join us on all our social media platforms at ETV Ghana, and you can be part of this discussion. And let me remind you, I'm sure you can see what I'm wearing. So I want to be a Northerner. If you're a Northerner out there, look, we are all Ghanaians. Just give me a Northern name. Tell me what I should be called if I were to be from Boko or one of the northern, towns. Anyway, so at ETV Ghana and across all the global the GMA broadcasting unit, we have a Made in Ghana month. And last week, we spoke about music. This week, we are wearing something very authentic. And of course, you need to wear something authentically Ghanaian. Let's put on our jewels, beads, everything. Look, I'm very excited today. Maybe I'll be wearing this from Monday to Friday. I hope I can sustain that. Anyway, I'm going to go on my very first break. When I'm back, I'll show you something. And then after, I will introduce my guest, and then we can go straight to the discussion. Please stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are in the lounge now, soon to start our discussion. But before that, I did mention the fact that this week we are focusing on Made in Ghana clothes. So wear Ghana. I've got something to show you. Please stay and watch this. Well, and indeed, that's how far African wears have come. You see how men look so different lately. I'm not saying we didn't look good in the past. We did look good in the past, but we keep looking better and better and better. You have no idea how well traveled our clothes have done. Now, go to the States, go to UK, everybody's wearing them. How about us? Let us be proud of what we have. Let us wear them even the most. Let us showcase them even the most. Right? Yeah. I'd urge you all to, for some reason, look, this month, okay, we know we are almost in the middle of the month, but for the rest of the month, try as much as possible, if you can, wear Made in Ghana clothes from Monday to Friday. Send us images. Let us see how good you look. You may never know. I just might decide to reward you. Maybe a 3 night stay in some fine hotel, a weekend stay, some beach chill like that. For the men, we like to chill, we like to show love. So we'll show you something nice. Anyway, so time to go straight into our discussions. I'm here today with my very good friend, lawyer Leslie. Leslie
Senior.
Akwaba.
Yeah,
today you have to address me like now. You see,
my lord.
Anyway, you can see how Leslie also looks. Leslie looks very, very good. Of course, that is also made in Ghana, and he's representing the Ghanaian in him. Leslie, good to see you. How was the weekend?
Very, very relaxing.
Relaxing, eh? Just like
Relaxing.
mine. I slept. Look, for the longest time I can remember, I think I slept for like 6 hours non-stop, and I was like, wow. And I woke up and I looked at the time. In fact, I applauded my own self. I thought I had done so well.
I see. I wasn't in Accra, so I didn't experience the traffic.
Sorry for you. Oh, okay. So
So,
you did. So that means wherever you were,
no traffic.
no traffic. It was better. Eh?
Just see sand and a lot of good music.
Well, of course, music is part of who we are as Ghanaians. Well, so Leslie, today there's something very important for which reason I asked you to come, and I want us to look at inheritance,
Yes.
the issues of inheritance. I'm sure you hear all the stories about how someone died and forgot to have a will, and it's a whole lot of wahala. And today, Leslie is here to help us understand that entire concept of inheritance. He's going to speak in you and I, our kind of language, not too technical, so we can at least pick the most important things in his delivery. Leslie,
Yes, sir.
thank you so much for coming. So today I want us to look at, like I said, inheritance. What does the law say when it comes to inheritance? I mean, I've been asking myself this question. So, do you leaving behind a property? Is it even important to leave behind a property at all? Do you have to?
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, it is important. You see, when we talk about inheritance and the importance of inheritance or leaving behind something, I mean, we find traces of its importance all around us. If you're a Christian or you're a religious person, I mean, in the Bible it says that a good man is the one who leaves behind inheritance for his children's children.
That's in the Bible?
It's in the Bible.
Wow.
It's in somewhere. It should be in somewhere Proverbs 13:22.
Okay.
Yes, it says that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Not even to his children, to his children's children.
You think of your grandchildren. That's a good man.
That's a good man.
Hey, I see.
So at least it satisfies that religious stance. And most of us are religious. I mean, most of us are religious. If it comes to culture, I mean, traces of importance of inheritance are sometimes embedded in our music. You know, Ejapa. Rex Omar's Papa song will always be one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And when he was explaining it, he said the word Eja, one who leaves behind something.
Oja Bibia Mao.
Yes. I mean, it
Okay.
connotes some form of
Yeah.
inheritance. And of course, again, even in our hip hop culture, when the whole when the whole medical, what's his name, strongman thing happened. You remember one of the replies? Medical told Sarkodie that instead of investing in strongman, he should leave something behind for his child, Titi. So we all have the importance of leaving behind something or leaving behind inheritance. It's all around us. It's in our culture, it's in our religious text, it's in our lifestyle, it's in our entertainment.
I see.
So definitely.
I mean, I think I understand you quite well, especially when it comes through a lot of the old music that some of us, grew from. Something like Wofa Oho, that's so to
Exactly.
say. But I mean, it's all something that gives reference to the fact that, yes, there should be some level or some sort of inheritance for
Yes.
those coming behind. So, can just anybody leave behind property for certain people, or the law has a limitation to it?
Or not just anybody. I mean, you should have been at least 18 years.
Okay, but if you are not 18 and you think you have a new, can't you leave something for someone?
Yeah, but the law is the law. You know, we are looking at the fact that you leave behind something,
Yeah.
and somebody somewhere, a lawyer like me, somewhere won't come and declare it invalid.
Okay.
So we are just giving you the guidelines so that at least when you leave behind what seems to be an inheritance, at least we will give you the nod that, oh, it is okay. So at least 18 years. At least 18 years. And that is not all. The 18 years satisfy the requirement of age.
Age,
But you
okay.
should have been of sound mind.
Okay.
Yes, you should have been of sound mind and the ability. Yeah. So soundness of mind is part.
But what would be the definition of someone with a sound mind? I mean, there are a lot of people who look very good and dress okay and are not necessarily sound in the head. How do you determine who is of sound mind and who is
You know,
not?
sanity is determined by the court. Yes. So the fact that somebody is moving about here and there does not necessarily mean that the court has pronounced them insane. But definitely there will be evidence to adduce to the fact that a person is not of sound mind. You should have been of sound mind, sound memory, sound understanding
Okay.
for you to be able to, and then together with the age limit, for you to be able to leave behind
Something.
what my friends will call a will.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that, I mean, having to have to be of sound mind to be able to leave behind, like you said, a will. Are there any steps that the law says we should take? You know, when it comes to ensuring that property is left behind, are there any steps that the law is saying that this is A, B, C, D is what you need to do to ensure that
Yes,
you've left
yes.
something?
So the first step you need to take is to ensure that you have property, because obviously you are
If
come
you
to
don't
leave
have, what would you
something,
leave?
something behind. You can't give what you don't have.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's true, yeah.
So you must leave some form of property, either what we call landed property, those you can't carry with you. I mean, buildings and land and all those stuff. And then what we call the movable properties, the cars, the money in the bank, the jewelries, the shuttles, and all those type of stuff. So you need to have, those properties should have been your bona fide properties, your
Okay.
self-acquired properties. You understand that? Then you must, it is advised to get a lawyer to draft a will for you. But in case you must go ahead and do it, you must leave all these properties together with their description. You understand that? Together with their description. When I say description, is it a 3-bedroom house? Is it a 2-bedroom house? And then their location. Because, of course, we need to know where the property is located. You understand? Then the lawyers call something interest.
Okay.
The interest in the property, the bundle of rights. Okay? If I'm leaving this 3-bedroom house for you, for how many years? Are you taking it forever? Are you sharing it with somebody? Do you understand? Do you have siblings you are sharing it with? And then you must bring the names of those who you want to benefit, those who would benefit from the properties when you are gone. So we call those people your beneficiaries.
Okay.
Do you understand that? Then when all that has been taken care of, you need 2 witnesses. 2 witnesses who must be present to testify to the fact that they saw you sign, they saw you append your signature on the will.
On the will, okay.
They don't need to necessarily know the content of the will. You understand that? And this issue of 2 witnesses has brought about a lot of trouble. So you must get you must get 2 witnesses to attest to the fact that you made the will and you were seen
Signing it.
signing. And then that is it. Nowadays, wills are sealed, I think 3 or 4 copies. One will be deposited with your lawyers, one will be deposited in your personal stuff, and one will be deposited in the court. So the issue of forgery and the rest
Cannot.
cannot raise ugly head again.
Actually, I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
I mean, you did mention at some point in your delivery that it's brought issues.
Yeah.
You know, this issue of especially witnessing the signage by the person.
Exactly.
I was going to ask you if there has been such instances, or what example would you give of an issue that's happened?
Oh, there's been cases. You know, lawyers love cases. So there's been cases where one of the witnesses actually was not present, but he was in the other room and saw what was going on. I mean, there are funny scenarios where simultaneously you could not place the 2 witnesses together
Okay.
to have sworn that they saw you attest to or sign on your will. You understand that? And even as soon as that happens, you know that you are in trouble, because it's one of the formal requirements that the law needs. Yes. So there must be 2 witnesses.
Witnesses. Okay, you did say that you can only give off or will a property that you have acquired.
Yes.
What about that you must have inherited also, probably from an uncle, or can you also pass it on?
Yes. You
Okay.
inherited it.
Okay. Okay, just to be clear. So what happens when a person fails to leave behind property? What happens to such properties then? Or can you throw more light on the effect?
That's where a friend of mine will say that you died intestine.
I think the word is intestate, right?
So you say the person died intestate. But the
Interesting.
word there is intestate.
Yeah.
When you fail to leave behind a will,
Mm-hmm.
then my lawyer friends will proudly describe your situation as dying intestate.
Okay.
When you leave behind a will and it is not valid in the eyes of the law, again, because there's no will.
What,
So
what will make a will invalid? Before you even come to explaining
Yes.
the intestate and all, what will make a will invalid? Does this have to? Is it that it hasn't or it didn't satisfy those 3 or 4 steps that you mentioned?
Exactly.
Okay.
Together with the fact that the person did not have a sound mind, sound understanding.
Yeah.
Basically, the person was not of the right mind
Okay.
when he was writing the will. And sometimes, too, there are certain factors that would, wills are freely written. So if it can be proved that maybe you wrote the will against your will, duress, like you wrote it under duress, you wrote it under what the lawyers call undue influence. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
For instance, I'm a religious leader and you're a congregant. I took care of you, I introduced you to my way of life, so called. And then when you died, okay, when whoever died, your people chanced upon a will where you've left basically everything to me, your religious leader. Definitely there will be some form of undue influence.
Yeah.
You understand that? So these are some of the things that would render what would have been a valid will what invalid in the eyes of the law.
Yeah.
These are some of the things.
I see. But so, when it comes to leaving property behind, discussing will, it's almost as though there's a lot of silence on women. Is it only men that can leave a will?
Oh, not. The law is clear. We said a person.
A person.
Whenever the law says a person, it's gender neutral. It means that both members of the opposite sex can participate in it. So it's gender neutral. Religious texts make it look like it's supposed to be man. You understand? But we can understand the Bible to some extent. Back then, men called all the shots.
But now a lot of women also take part in deciding what
Exactly.
what their home should have and what should not
We
have.
drafted wills for women, and some of these wills were even heavier than what most of the men left behind. So the women are doing well. I mean, they are doing very, very well. Yeah.
I see. I mean, when it comes to issues like this, it reminds me of the recent. I'm sure you wouldn't like me to go there. The recent Achimota forest.
Charlie, my school.
Your school was being shared.
Charlie, my school. Motown,
You need to go back and protect your forest there. Because so just a little question on that. Could that as a part of a forest be given, or you need to go back into the ownership to the great grandfathers to know who must have willed it to who until it got to a certain point?
Yes, exactly. So like I said, self-acquired property. Is it a self-acquired property? If not, I don't remember the last time Achimota Forest became a self-acquired property, but I may be wrong. I can't know everything. But then again, the law says self-acquired property. So you must only leave behind those properties that through your dint of hard work and sweat you were able to acquire. And that's it.
I see. So there's one that beats my mind. I mean, I think from the start you did speak of the fact that even religion, as far as all of us believe in some sort of, one way of religion or the other, that there is a certain element of will in there.
Yeah.
Now, my siblings, my brothers and sisters, some of my parents who come from who are Muslims, like I could have been. Do they also have that in terms of succession? Do they have? Is their will also as well? Clearly mentioned when it comes to the Christian religion. Is it same when it comes to the Islamic religion as well?
Yes. The Mohammedan tradition also spells out its own form of succession when it comes to leaving behind property. Yes, I was even whilst on my way here, I was thinking we should do We haven't been very fair. I was thinking that we should do a whole segment to touch on Mohammedan marriage, and then Mohammedan succession. Now that you've brought it up,
Let's deal with the
yes,
succession. Yeah.
yes, yeah, we'll
So
have
so
to.
throw some little light. I mean, a little bit more light on what it looks like. How different is it? I mean, from what you're saying, I understand that yes, it is there, but there are some slight differences. If I'm correct.
Yes.
How different is it?
Okay, so for me to discuss Mohammedan succession, it ties down with Mohammedan marriage.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And if you want me to do that, then I have to start from the Mohammedan type of marriage.
I see.
You understand that? So that's why I was asking that we do a segment on these things, then I clear everything.
Great, great.
Yes.
So, I mean, for me to get a clear perspective,
Yeah.
it is to say that yes, it is there,
Yes, it's
irrespective of the religion. It
Exactly.
is there. And of course, when it comes to the traditionalist, it's something that's even been there enshrined in our forefathers'
Yeah,
rules
Samansew,
and Samansew and all
dead
that.
declaration and yeah, so all these things. One beautiful thing about the laws of Ghana is that they cater for everybody based on your religious or your spiritual outlook. If you're a Christian, it caters for you there. If you're a Muslim, it caters for you. If you're a spiritualist or you are an African believer or believer in African religion, it also caters for you there. Yeah.
I see.
But the only difference is that when it comes to customary matters, okay, remember before the white man came, we were not documenting things. Well, at least that's what they've made us believe, but we're not documenting things. So customary law is predominantly by oral proclamation.
Okay.
Do you understand that? When you just oppose it with the will, what the lawyers call the will, it has to be written and all those stuff. You understand that? Customary law, it is just oral declaration because it didn't know any form of writing before the whites came. Yes.
I see. Let's come to children. I mean, children in families, children, um, involvement of children in any way. What is it like? Is there any role the child plays when it comes to will?
Yes, exactly. The child is predominantly at the receiving end of most inheritance. I mean, um, that's they are even first and foremost the forerunners, so to speak. I mean, I can't imagine that you have children and you not leave anything for them. They are so important that even if you do not leave anything for a child, right? The courts can decide to give the child something out of your will.
Really?
Yes, it's called reasonable provision.
But if you also have reason, that I mean, some particular reason why you decide not to leave something for a child, why
What
would
are
the court
the
want to?
what are the reasons?
Maybe that child has been too stubborn. You don't want to have any. You don't want to have any. So why would the court come back and turn what you have written to say that there has to be something reasonable for a child?
Oh, there has to be. I mean, the welfare of children is very important, right? The first time I sat here, one theme that cuts across most of my messages was that the welfare of the child is important.
Yeah.
So if he's a child below the age of 18 and the law realizes that if it does not give this child something, undue hardship will come upon the child, then definitely, even though the will is supposed to be respected because it is your last testament to the world before you departed.
Yeah.
I mean, fairness also plays a key factor when it comes to deciding so many matters. So yes, the law would respect that you have left something behind, but it will not be fair to that child. Do you understand that? And so the court will definitely give him something.
Interesting. Well, I'll leave that. I'm gonna go on the very on the next break on the note of the child. When we are back, we'll pick it up again from where we ended with the child. Please stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are in the lounge discussing the issues of will. Okay, it's already clear to us that even all the religions that as Ghanaians we follow have some elements that encourages us to at least leave something behind for those behind, or I mean those who, yes, those who will leave behind. And so it comes across as something that's very, very important, and it's something that we cannot or we should not do without. And I'm still here with Leslie, my very good friend, lawyer Leslie. He's throwing a lot more light on this. Now let your messages start coming. The WhatsApp line is open. It's 0202222054. 0202222054. If you have any questions, send it through. I would ask Leslie, and I'm sure he'll be able to throw some light on that. Now, Leslie, a lot of people are of the opinion that having written a will sounds like a countdown to your death. I mean, the moment you write a will, it means you started counting down to the day that you will go. What's your take on this?
Oh, you know, my former English lecturer used to say something. He said, we are closer to death now than when we even walked in here some minutes ago. And he's of blessed memory now. Every day is a countdown to your demise on earth, especially when you were not designed to live forever.
Forever.
But you see, the will puts a certain purpose to life that you have thought about those you are leaving behind so much that in your absence, you would want them to partake in your inheritance. Do you understand that? It is more like a blessing. It's more like leaving behind a blessing to those who look up to you or those who are important to you. And I'm saying those who look up to you and those who are important to you because you can leave behind a will, or you can leave behind inheritance for everybody or anybody. It shouldn't be your children, nor only your spouse, nor your... It could be anybody. And it will be respected.
Okay.
Do you understand? Most of the clashes we have over property is because the person didn't leave behind a will. But a will puts a finality to everything. As for the dying, they will all die. Do you understand? Nobody's going to make it out of here alive. Or at least, so I believe. But at least let some purpose come from your death. Do you understand that? Let people remember you and go like, oh, my father did a good thing. Or God bless my father for leaving this. Or maybe if it wasn't for my father, I wouldn't have been here. Something like that. Do you understand that?
Yep. That's quite clear. But Leslie, how expensive is it? Or is it expensive to make a will? I mean, I know there's legal fee in there. That's where the lawyers, they like their cases. Of course, I'm sure they like their will also. Look, let us know.
Yeah.
How expensive is it?
Okay. Legal fees and what you probably call legal fees is governed by what we call the GBA scale of fees.
Okay.
There's a whole document on how lawyers are to charge. And if you Google it right now, there's even an updated version just recently. So wills should be somewhere in there. Everything boils down to negotiation. That's what I believe. Everything boils down to negotiation. Before I enter into how much it actually is, I'm trying to swerve the...
I'll bring you back there.
I'm trying to swerve the discussion. But it's not as expensive as we think.
Is it?
No, it is not as expensive.
I'm sure sometimes, just as, when you go to the market, sometimes you want to buy something. Sometimes these people look at, oh, the guy came in a Mercedes-Benz. The charges could be different. Oh, the guy walked in here. The charges. Do you also look at those things?
Luckily for you and I, there's a scale.
Okay.
Every fee that a lawyer charges with respect to something has a range from this to that.
Okay.
From this to that. So, like I said, once somebody gives you a range, you can always negotiate. It is not a strict fees. Do you understand that? I would rather go for a range of fees than to be hit with a leave it or not arrangement. So you can always negotiate. It's not as expensive as we think. And even depositing the will in court is even not as expensive as we think. The law is trying to make it as easy for everybody. Do you understand
Yeah.
that? To be able to make a will. Because even after the lawyer has drafted your will and you've signed and everything, we need to seal it. There is this red candle they melt and then to smear it around the will, and then you deposit it in the high court. They write your name, the name of the person with the strict security for when you are gone.
I see. Well, Leslie says it doesn't mean you are counting down because look, cost rubber from you will not be alive forever. You will go. And so it is just right that you at least solve the issues that are likely to happen after you. All the trouble, all the fights, you could actually deal with it before you go so that it won't be such a challenge. But you see, you pointed out something in the Bible. Of course, the whole idea of will leaving behind something is one of the things that makes a lot of men want to work, and overwork. But do you think it contributes to some level of greediness? Of course, I want to be able to leave something, and so do you think? I mean, this on a very personal note. Do you think this contributes to some level of greediness amongst a lot of men?
History has always been characterized by greediness. Capitalism is synonym for greed. I mean, if you want an equally level playground, then you're talking about communalism or socialism. But once there's always competition, there will always be that tendency for somebody to want to accumulate more. But you see, like my studies in sociology would tell me, there are two types of statuses. There's the achieved status. You understand that? The achieved status is when, by dint of hard work, you'll be able to acquire some property. I mean, look at all the coming here. Look at all looking all royal in your. I mean, you deserve. Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
So now God blesses you. You have the opportunity and all those things. I mean, why not accumulate? Do you understand? Why not accumulate and why not leave behind these accumulations? There's nothing wrong with it. So I don't think it leads to greed or anything like that. No.
Well, I mean, it was just on the. I was just trying to understand because,
Yeah.
of course, everyone will want to leave something behind.
Exactly.
And I want to leave something for my grandchildren and possibly great grandchildren.
Exactly.
Of course, that will make me want to be very, very. You know what I mean. But of course, well,
No, to make you very, very hardworking.
hardworking, not greedy.
No. Very, very hardworking.
Okay, all right. I mean that's quite fair. But Leslie, why? What makes people challenge well?
Okay. Thank you. That's a very important question. You see, there are many factors that will make a person challenge a will. You know the person who has left behind a will. You know that in his right senses, and again, I'm using right senses because I'm talking about the psychological part, the part that I mentioned.
Should be
You know
of sound
that
mind.
in his right senses, he would not have left everything for this person. Do you understand that? You know that the person did not have the soundness of mind. You know that this property that the person is about to will to acquire only, to take forever, is a family property. Do you understand that? It's a family property. It belongs to the whole family. Even though he might have put up something on the family property, it is not only his to will to somebody forever without...
It's like building a house on a family land.
Exactly.
Where there's a family house in there, but on a portion of the land you actually built. Okay.
Now, before you realize you have willed it to somebody somewhere. Do you understand that? And even sometimes there's even suspicion as to whether that person even wrote the will.
The will, okay.
So these are some of the factors that would make a person challenge the will. And challenging a will is very, very simple. I mean, the lawyers will call it caveats.
Okay.
You enter a caveat. A caveat is more like telling people, hey, wait a minute. We have discovered this, but we are not sure as to the validity.
So can we look into it?
So can we look into it? Can the court look into it?
Yeah.
And the court will, I mean, why not? If you give the court enough reasons, valid enough reasons, why not? So these are some of the factors that would make a person challenge a will.
So should you want to challenge a will, what do you have to do? Just call a lawyer or go to the court?
Call a lawyer, tell the lawyer your suspicions or the reasons you want to challenge the will. he will know what to do. He is not called a learned person for nothing.
Exactly the reason why I'll soon be called a Leonard friend.
Exactly.
All
And you
right,
are
I'm going to
welcome.
go on my very last break. Leslie, when we are back, I have 2 or 3 more questions for you. And the phone lines will also be open, and so we should expect people to call and also ask you some questions. Please stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back if you are just joining us. I'm still here with Leslie, and we are discussing issues arising when it comes to will, inheritance, and all the things you need to know. Leslie has been throwing a lot of light, and I'm here learning a lot. I'm sure you also are learning a lot. So the phone lines are open now. Feel free, call us and ask any question that beats your mind when it comes to inheritance and then your will. The number is 0555 I repeat, 0555 The WhatsApp line is also ready. You can still keep your messages coming. So this is coming from Matilda. Matilda from Harcho says,
Okay.
this is coming to you, Leslie. In terms of a will, is a bank account part? If yes, I would like to know if it's 100% of that money that goes to the beneficiary. Because I heard it somewhere that the government takes a certain percentage and the lawyer that helps also takes a certain percentage. Can you throw some more light on this?
I think Matilda is tying a rope behind intestacy and then leaving behind a will
Okay.
because of the way the message is couched. See, my brother, if a person leaves behind a will, mentioning some amount of money in a bank and mentioning how much is to be distributed amongst some persons, okay, there's no issue with it.
Okay, because that's clearly stated.
The persons will get what they want.
Yeah.
Legal fees does not eat into a person's inheritance.
Okay.
And I'll repeat this. The legal fees you pay for a lawyer drafting a will for you does not eat into the deceased person's inheritance.
Okay, so it means that at that point the lawyer must have been paid already.
Yes.
Okay.
So the lawyer must have been paid already. You understand that?
Yeah.
But when you start talking about 15% going to this and going to this, then you're talking about intestacy. And I will explain.
Okay.
When a person dies without leaving a will, do you understand that? Then his properties fall into what we call intestacy, or what my friend would say intestine. Do you understand that? Intestacy is also governed by PNDC law 111. I mean, every person who attended basic school in Ghana can mention, even if they can't mention any law at all, they can mention PNDC law 111. Why? Because it was the first attempt by the country to come through for spouses and children and parents who might suffer some hardship because the deceased person did not leave behind a will.
Okay.
You understand that? And then there are priorities as to who can apply for letters of administration, or what we call LA, if the person dies leaving a will. If a person of yours dies without leaving a will and you go to the bank, the first thing the bank will tell you is, "Kope LA, bra."
Okay.
Go for letters of administration. Do you get it? And we know what is spelled out in PNDC law 111. My math is bad. But we know the arithmetic proportion. There are challenges with it. So there's a newly proposed bill to deal with all of these.
Okay.
You understand that? But the order of priorities are there. The surviving spouse, the surviving children, the surviving parents, the customary successor. These are the order of priorities of persons who can apply for letters of administration with respect to the estate of the deceased person. And each person and what the law says he can get or he or she can get. That's what I'm
Yep.
So I think my sister Mary
Matilda.
Matilda is weaving through wills and then intestacy.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think this is quite clear. But what about what she mentioned about the government taking a part, or I mean, there's nothing like that at all.
There is, definitely I think it's what is called the estate duties fees.
Okay.
Those are the form of tax that you must pay to the government. Of course,
Okay.
definitely you've brought it into court.
Yeah.
The court is a creature of government. I mean, some fees must go into the coffers of the courts. So there's a certain amount that the courts will charge with respect to the estate of the, I think it's 3%, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Do you understand that 3% of the whole estate is to be paid into court? Yes. So these are some of
I
the
see that
topics.
there's one part that I really wish we can throw a lot of light on, but for the reason of time, but I still want us to start that discussion, and it has to do with our Muslim brothers and sisters. I want us to try and understand what it is like when it comes to inheritance. And I think you mentioned from the start that to be able to discuss that, you probably may have to start from even the marriage
Yes.
itself. Can you throw some light on that and see? I mean, I know we don't have time, but let's start. I'm sure that we can buy some time next week and probably continue it. But let's look at that.
Okay. So let's do a trailer. You know how the movie trailers are. So let's do a trailer. And you would be excited to notice or to know that when it comes to our Muslim brothers and sisters, there's a whole regime, in inverted commas, that applies to marriage, that applies to divorce proceedings, and that even goes down to inheritance.
Marriage, divorce proceedings, and then
We
inheritance.
call them the Muhammadan law.
Okay.
After Prophet Muhammad, may peace be unto his holy name. So there's a whole regime as to it, and it is a very exciting topic of this for discussion.
Leslie, you know something? Let's hold it off on these first three: marriage, divorce proceedings, and
Succession.
maybe next week we should come back, or we'll find another week that's good enough for us to have this discussion, because I feel like we've been leaving our Muslim brothers out a lot, and I think we need to look at this discussion in their perspective as well. Well, this is all time can allow us to bring to you. Thank you so much, Leslie. Thank you for all of you also out there for watching and being part of it. We can't be here, of course, for more than our time will permit us. We'll come back next week with something very, very exciting. But until then, keep wearing what you can make in Ghana. Let's wear made in Ghana clothes. It's very important so that our economy can also boost. You have no idea where this takes us to. Peace be unto you. We shall see you next week.